A very good morning to all of you students. Today we are going to start the topic types of public relations from public relations subject. Starting with the various types or roles in public relations. As we know that public relations are very much necessary for each and every company for its survival. For its survival as well as its growth. The public relations are very much important. So the various roles in public relations are number one, media relations. Media relations is all about dealing with the media, the communication channel, right? It can be writing press releases or scheduling interviews with the companies and giving press conferences in order to advertise yourself, in order to make your goodwill in the market. So the goal is to generate positive coverage of your company or your product. Basically, you want the media to do your advertisement for free, right? We have already discussed that every company wants to advertise itself. Every company wants that each and every customer, each and the public also, they must know about the company. They must know about the name of the company, its working, and its goodwill too, right? So the key to media relations is generating a hook to draw in audiences, right? So for this, you need to have an eye for a compelling story that the media will want to cover. And also you need have the skills to get the story out there, right? Which can vary depending on the roles. So the copywriters produce snappy, well written press releases, while company spokespeople stand up and give speeches to the press in a very good way, in a very good communication way, right? Adopting good communication techniques. In smaller organization, one person is responsible for everything. So there is role of media relations. You have to maintain proper relations with the media. Which media? That media which will highlight your company. That media which will make you up, make your goodwill more. That company that will enable you to have your reputation in the market, right? Then the next one is community relations. So yes, the next role in public relations is community relations. So the engagement, so if we talk about the community relations, you know that every company needs to maintain its relations with the community too, right? So all the officers work to develop a company's relationship with the local and not so local community, right? And what's the reason of doing this? Why we need to maintain the community relations? You know that if the community is inspired by the various products of the company or any brand, obviously the buyers, the purchasers, right? They are from the public, right? So the community is the one, the persons from communities are those persons who will purchase the product, right? So what's the reason for doing this is getting local support for a project such a building a new manufacturing plant, giving something back, which improves the company's ethical reputation, getting people interested in your products or services, right? The next role is corporate and social responsibility. Now, what is this? Whenever, if we talk about a company, if a company is working nearby some residence area, suppose, an industry is working nearby the industrial area, so it is the responsibility of the company to see whether its working doesn't harm the entire environment, right? So the entire environment should not be affected by the industry's processes, various processes. Like in case of manufacturing something, an industry may release some chemicals out of the industry, right, through a drain, or the company may release some pollution which involves very infectious gases, that those gases that can lead to breathing problems. So all the persons working in the industries, right, all the companies working nearby the residential area, is their responsibility that they should also take care of the social responsibility. That what is their social responsibility besides the profits that they will gain? It's quite obvious that a company is working in order to gain some profits. So what they say that the industry should be responsible socially too. That is, the industries should also take care that the persons living nearby the industry should not get affected to any of the problem with their pollution, with their release of harmful gases or chemicals. So as they have written there, related to community engagement, there is PR that improves the company's reputation. For ethics, what are the ethics now? Ethics are the values. Values of whom? Values of the companies, right? So company will only maintain its goodwill if it has more good values, more moral values. And if the company has values, that's obvious that company will behave in a good way. The company will take care of the pollution check, right? And the company will install some machinery or plant in order to control the pollution level. Or if the company is releasing the chemicals, the company must have something, some ways to dispose it of, right? So a CSR PR offer might recommended the company to change its entire recycling policy or even its business directions. To a good CSR officer, you need the ear of the company leaders, which takes networking skills, people skills, persuasion, and the ability to endear yourself to your colleagues, right? The next point is the next role under public relations is public affairs. You know that this public affairs is also known as lobbying. It means getting the government on your side. How? Suppose you wanted a change in the farming legislation so you could sell your product for more money, right? So you need to contact with the minister, convince them of your case, and provide them with the information, right? And you may fight your corner on this behalf. And public affairs professional work to make contacts within governments and other organizations, right? They are personable, tenacious, and occasionally sneaky, right? So what they say that every company should know very much and more about the public affairs, because without this a company cannot succeed. The company should have good ties with the governments. The company should have in on their side the government side, right? So that whenever any of the company wants to start anything, the company can start without any hesitation, because the company knows that government is on their side, right? The next role is crisis management. So being a PR, being following the public relations, what is there that every public relation manager should know how to manage its crises. Now, what are these crises? These are those financial uncertainties which may or may not arise in the near future. These are the uncertainties. It means the risk to the organization. So you know that every company, it has two sides. It has two things in it. That is, one is profit and the other one is loss, right? So the company may earn profit, but also the company may also earn loss too. So what happens? The companies must know how to manage their crisis. They must have any surplus, any reserve amount with themselves, so that in case of any need, in case of any problem, they can deal with it, right? The next one is employee relations. The employee relations are also known as internal public relations, right? We can say the employee relations as internal PR, right? Now, what is it? They say is that as every company needs to maintain its PR with the government, with the public outside the company, outside the industry, in a similar way, every company, every individual working inside the company and the company itself needs to maintain good public relations, PR, with their own with their own employees working, with their own shareholders working, with their own employees working, and with their own workers working in the organization, right? Why to make the PR? Why to make the internal PR now? There is need to make internal PR because all the persons working in organization, they need to work in a cooperation, in a coordination, right? And if in the organization there is no coordination, there is no cooperation, then will the entire company will succeed in its working? No. The company cannot, students, the company cannot exceed or company cannot have profits if their internal trust, internal coordination, internal communication is not well, right? So a positive view, it's a positive view of the company, and with this positive view, when they have good communication level with each other, trust, understanding, and coordination with each other, with this the company works properly, right? And employee relations work might include organizing employee events, right? Now, what is organizing employee events? Is organizing some events for employees so that they can be boosted up, they can get motivation proper, right? The next one is helping line managers developing good relations with their team. Now, who are the line managers? The various, suppose Ankita and Khushbu has started a company of mango juice maker, right? So in the company, there would be different departments. There would be different departments. So all those line departments like the sales department, manufacturing department, sales department, right? Advertising department, production department, all these department heads or the managers or the leaders should have good relations with their team. If the manager and the heads have good relation with their workers, with their employees, with their team, then the company definitely succeeds, right? This is all about the various types of roles in public relations. Okay, students. So now we'll be discussing about the topic publics in public relations. Now, what is publics in the public relations? So there is a history about this, right? So the psychologist John Ganvey formulated the concept of publics as a result of situation stimuli. There was situation from which John Dewey made this concept of publics. Okay, he was very much contemporary with the famous public opinion writer Walter Lippmann. And concept of publics was partly a way to deepen the discussion of how opinions work a media centric democracy. So he saw that the opinions, right? The opinions how work through media in this democratic world, right? The father of PR is Edward Bernays, right? He was more into human psychology, okay, and he was influenced by his uncle, who was psychologist Sigmund Freud, right? The Edward Bernays, he focused on how to activate latent publics through creating word of mouth, right? He just made an analysis. He just saw that with word of mouth, the public is very much affected, right? Is very much influenced through the word of mouth, right? With the growing power of Madison Avenue, powerhouses, and the rise of mass communication society, there were few more powerful conservation starters than the mass media outlets. So while the madmen focused on the advertisement space, the growing PR profession took aim at editorial space. So as people earlier were just only focused about the advertisement, how to advertise, through which channel, we should make brochures, we should make prospectus, we should make pamphlets, and we should paste it on the walls. So besides this, they made the public relations, and that's more professional in this editorial space, right? Now, what are publics in the public relations? What are publics in the public relations? Basically, a public is a group of people who are grouped together based not on how they're similar demographically, right? It is not like they should be same as per their age, right? It means the age may be anybody's age may be 40, anybody's age may be 60. It depends. It's not a compulsion that there should be certain age. There should be no similarity of sex. It means that person can be a male or female, right? Then income, similarly geographical location, right? So all these factors doesn't matter, but rather on the shared communication behaviors, the behavior which they share, the communication behavior which they share with each other, where they have shared why, how, and what channel would they choose to communicate themselves, right? If we talk about public relations, it is little bit like marketing, right? How we group people is often referred as segmentation, and how you segment your market is very much important, right? So the publics in public relations, it includes, now this publics include traditional publics. Now what are the traditional publics? These are the groups in which we have ongoing and long-term relationships with. Basically, this public, the community with which we have long-term relationships. Non-traditional publics, these are those who are not familiar with the organization, but that public can be a possible public of the organization. Then there is intervening publics. What are these intervening publics? Whenever students, any organization delivers message, and that message is delivered with this expectation that it will be passed on to another, right? That is news media, right? Then the publics in public relation includes primary. These are those that can directly affect organization's ability to achieve its goals. Then there is secondary. That public, while still important, they have minimum ability to affect an organization. Now, what does it mean? The secondary public does not at all affect properly an organization with its activities, right? Then there is internal and external publics. Internal public is the internal persons working in the organization, right? To maintain good relations with each other. If the internal organization does not make good relations with each other, then will they be able to perform good for the outside public? Will they? No, they will never be able. So, internal and external publics. Then domestic and international publics. Domestic is your own town, right? Your own place, your own location, your own country. That is domestic public. From your own public, how many are influenced towards you? That is domestic public. And if we talk about the international public includes the other countries, the country other than your country, that can be Canada, that can be Australia, that can be New York, that can be Germany, right? Then what do we need to know about each public? What should we know about each public? How much can the public influence our organization's ability to achieve our goals? It means how much the public is dependent on us, right? If the public is dependent on us, it means we'll be having more profits in future. If we'll be having more profits in future, it means that the company can stand alone. Then what is the public stake or value in its relationship with the organization? So how much the public is related to our organization? Is the public who is related to our organization, are they having any stake in our company? Right? Then who are the opinion leaders and decision makers for the public? So the opinion leaders from the company and decision makers who will think of the public and make the product accordingly, who will be there, right? Then what is the demographic profile of the public? What's the age group who is using our product? What's their gender? What's the income they are having? What's the education they are receiving? Right? Then there is psychographic profile of the public. Psychographic is what they think about. Is the psychology, to read the psychology. So this is all what the company should know about the public. Then what they think. If I'm producing Maybelline white kajal right now, I will be only producing it if I think that the public is so much interested in purchasing that. According to the taste and preference of the public, the companies make the product, right? Because the company will only make those products that will be sold more. Then, what is the public opinion for our organization? What does the public think for our organization? Right? This shapes values and approach of the company. This is all about the types of public relations and what is the public in public relations.